You ever have one of those nights where the red and blue of police lights dance through your garden, throwing shadows across the very tomatoes you just planted? Yeah, that happened to me. You want to know what makes your heart thud faster than a smoke alarm at midnight? It's not the cops. It's the self-proclaimed queen of the neighborhood, arms crossed, grinning like she just won the lottery, pointing at you and saying, "That's him. That's the guy ruining everything." All I'd done was dig in the dirt. Guess in Maplewood Lane. That's enough to get you treated like a felon. Officer Daniels stepped out, hand on his belt, and Karen Reynolds, president of the HOA, sheriff of lawns, high priestess of mailbox regulations, was already in full performance mode. "He's destroying the neighborhood's aesthetic," she declared, like I'd spray-painted graffiti all over her minivan. Daniels squinted at my rows of roses and tomatoes, then back at her. "You called the cops," he said, dragging out every word. "Because of a garden?" Let me back up a sec. The garden wasn't just dirt and seeds. My wife Ella, God rest her soul, used to say, "Made the world bright." But to Karen, my garden was public enemy number one. You ever meet someone who's so obsessed with control, you start to wonder if they color code their cereal? That was Karen. At first, I thought she was just nosy, maybe lonely. When I bought the house, she brought over cookies and said, "We like to keep things tidy around here." Tidy, I later learned, meant everything. Done exactly her way. It started with notes on my door. Trash cans an inch too close. Lawn edging doesn't meet standards. Mailboxes should be beige, not white. I laughed it off. Ella always said, "Kill them with kindness, Tom. It confuses the rude ones." So I did. Smiled, waved, even mowed the grass by her mailbox. Maybe that's what set her off. When I started the garden, Karen launched a campaign. Clipboard in hand, she'd show up in my backyard, measuring the fence, muttering about violations. I tried to stay polite, but I could feel her watching. Complaints escalated. Fertilizer smell, bees in the garden, hose too long. Every week, a new letter in the mailbox. And then, my tools started vanishing. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I left them somewhere. But when even Ella's old sunflower-painted watering can disappeared, I knew something was off. So I set up a camera. Not high-tech, just enough to watch the garden at night. That same week, shiny under a tarp in Karen's yard, her confidence vanished. He lifted it. My missing tools, stacked neatly, shovel, shears, watering can. Karen went pale. Suddenly, the woman calling the cops on me was the one getting questioned. But here's the thing. That night was just the peak of a hill that had been rising for months. That night, I stood in the garden long after the lights faded, asking myself why Karen hated the garden so much. Was it really about roses, or was it about control? It's funny how a little patch of dirt can become a battlefield. That should have been the end. But it was just the beginning. Because after Daniels left, the weirdness didn't stop. I heard noises in the yard at night. Tools went missing again, even with the shed locked. One night, I caught a glimpse of a shadow near the fence. By morning, the lock was broken and the new spade was gone. I'd had enough. Took a blurry photo from my porch camera and brought it to Sophie at the HOA office. She was one of the good ones. "Karen's been difficult lately," she whispered. "But she's got connections. I just wanted my tools back." That evening, as the sky turned orange in the garden, air smelled like rain and memories, I spotted Karen half hidden behind her fence, just watching. She called out, "You think you've won, don't you?" There was bitterness in her voice, fear, too. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You'll regret ever moving here." When she left, I spotted something shiny by the fence, a screwdriver buried next to a small, rusted key. Not mine. Felt like a clue in some bad detective movie. Turns out, the camera caught Karen creeping in my yard the night before, and she had my padlock dangling from her hand. I confronted her. Tried to be civil, but she hissed, "You think you can play the victim, but everyone knows what you're doing." I didn't even know what she meant. That night, I took the key back to the shed. None of my locks fit. But then I found a wooden box, hidden, not mine. The key slid in. Click. Inside, HOA forms, photos, all signed by Karen, and all about me. Photos of my backyard, my porch, even me napping outside, some taken at night. Officer Daniels showed up right after. I showed him the box. His face went dark. "These were taken without your consent," he said. "We'll file a harassment report." Keep your cameras rolling. He gave me a nod, and Karen, overhearing, threatened, "You'll regret this. You'll see what happens when you mess with the HOA." Then she slammed her door hard enough to make her windshield fall. I'll admit, my nerves were fried. That night, rain hammered the roof, and through the storm I heard footsteps in the yard. Not just Karen this time, but another figure, taller, in a dark raincoat. They whispered by the fence, pointed at my shed. Then, the power snapped out. By the time I got outside, my shed was open, the wooden box gone. Only thing left was Karen's white glove with pink flowers, soaked and half buried by the roses. The next morning, Officer Daniels found muddy prints, a broken lock, and nothing else. "Karen called in first," he said. "Claimed you were harassing her. That's how these folks work. Twist the story until you start doubting yourself." That night, I saw Karen and the tall stranger digging on her side of the fence. Before I could do anything, she locked eyes with me and said, "You shouldn't dig too deep, Tom. Sometimes you find things you wish you hadn't." That chilled me more than the rain. A note appeared on my mailbox the next morning. "Stop digging. You're making enemies you can't see." No signature. Sophie at the HOA office whispered, "Be careful. Karen's brother used to sit on the board. She knows how to cover her tracks." That's when I doubled down on security, more cameras, motion sensors, the works. Then the twist. The camera caught Karen digging up the stolen box, stranger in tow. But they missed a photo. It showed my wife, Ella, smiling in our old garden in Fairview, with Karen in the background, years before I ever met her. The number on my wife's name was on a witness list. That evening, an envelope slid under my door. "Stop digging, Tom. You don't know what Ella was involved in." My heart about stopped. What did Karen know about? Then Karen caught me, gun in hand, tears in her eyes. "Ella was helping me," she said. "We tried to expose them, but when she wouldn't testify, she just disappeared." Headlights swept the lawn, Daniels and deputies shouting. Karen ran, dropping Ella's statement in the mud. After that night, the garden became a crime scene. Daniels asked about Ella's death. "You still have her medical records?" I shook my head. "Never thought I'd need them." "We may need to revisit that," he said. The next morning, in the newly washed sunlight, I found a USB drive buried under the roses, labeled, "If the witness talks, neither of you will be safe." Ella was the witness. When a detective from Fairview, Claire Morgan, arrived, she watched the files and whispered, "This is enough to bring down half the county." That night, another safe with Ella's initials turned up, hidden beneath the biggest rose bush. Inside, letters from Ella and a warning. Karen wasn't always like this. The people funding the HOA aren't local. If I disappear, look next door. The lights flickered, power went out, and Karen, soaked, trembling, appeared on my porch, clutching the missing lockbox. "They know about you now," she said. "They're not just stealing money. They're laundering it." Ella tried to help me. "Now they think you have the files." Sudden pounding from the back door, men's voices, not police. Karen hissed, "We have to run." We slipped out, rain cold and sharp, hiding in her backyard. She pressed the USB drive into my hand. "It links them to a development company." Ella recorded everything. Finish what she started. Then, gunshots. I ran, stumbled through the woods, hid until the morning light, clutching the drive like my last lifeline. Daniels found me, looking like he'd seen a ghost. "Karen was found dead," he said. "Gunshot wound." I handed over the USB. "Get this to the state investigators," I pleaded. "Don't trust anyone." But when I was alone, in the station, Detective Morgan called, her voice urgent. "The last video is a message from Ella, the night before she died. She says, 'If you ever see this, know I love you. And don't trust anyone.'" Not even. The audio cut out. Daniels returned, too calm, hand in his coat, gun bulging. "Where's the drive, Tom?" he asked. "You're one of them," I whispered. He drew his weapon. I ducked, smashing the lights, crawling out into the alley, rain pounding as I ran for my life. Ella's last words echoed, "Don't trust anyone." Daniels chased me through the streets, yelling, "You can't run forever." I found shelter in a diner, whispered to the waitress, called Detective Morgan. Daniels came in, rain streaming down his face, eyes cold. "Let's not end it badly, Tom." But before he could draw, the door burst open. Officers stormed in, Morgan leading. "It's over, Daniels." We recorded your confession. They cuffed him as he warned, "You don't understand." To life. Detective Morgan brought me a photo from evidence. Ella, smiling in the sun, with "Don't Stop Planting" written on the back. I knelt in the dirt, planting one last red rose. To roses and corruption can hide behind a picket fence, what does justice really look like? Was it worth it? Would you have kept digging? Where are you watching from tonight? Let me know down in the comments. And if you've ever stood up to the bullies in your life, tell us your story. Don't forget to share, because sometimes sunlight's all it takes for the truth to grow.